Hello. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Philippines Education Sector Today, International Education Market Updates, Trends, and Developments. My name is Kate. I am here to represent BC Council for International Education. And my colleague Alfredo is also on this call, and we both will be facilitating today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining us today on what we hope will be an informative session about the international education landscape in the Philippines. And also, if you are coming to our conference, the International Education Week, that's about to take place in a week, you will know that we're expecting a Philippine delegation coming to the conference, and we will be sharing some information about the delegation as well. So please stay tuned. Before we get started, it is important that I acknowledge that at BCCIE, we live and work on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish peoples of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. In terms of housekeeping, we're all very familiar with Zoom, but feel free to type your questions in the chat box or use the Q&A function. If you need any technical assistance, please also get in touch with us and we will do our best to help you with that. Now, without further ado, I would like to invite today's speaker, Ms. Angel Kachula, Trade Commissioner overseeing education, agriculture, and agri-food from the Embassy of Canada in Manila. Over to you, Angel.
Thank you so much, Kate and Alfredo, for accommodating us for this important briefing to prepare our Canadian institutions, our BC-based institutions, for the Philippines participation at this year's BCIEW conference. Again, as Kate mentioned, my name is Angel Cachuela. I'm the Trade Commissioner responsible for two important files for Canada here in the Philippines. That's agriculture and agri-food commodities and education. I'm not sure if we're sharing the slide already. Thank you, Kate.
Yes. Let me know
Thank
if you need me to move to the next one.
Thank you. Next, just before we move on to the next one, I do work with Francis Santos, our Trade Commissioner Assistant, covering or assisting us in both files as well. Next, please. So on the Philippine market, we thought it best to start the presentation with just broad strokes on the Philippine market for those that have not explored the Philippine market yet, or those that have but are seeking updates on the market. We are still the fastest growing population in Asia. Our population has usually grows between 1.5 to 2% every year. So we're now at 116.79 million Filipinos, going strong. That's about the 17% of the ASEAN region, a cooperation of 10 countries in Southeast Asia. About half of our population live in the urban areas, whereas the other half live in urban centers in the country, across the country. We have a very young population. The median age of Filipinos is 26. About half of our population is less than median age, which shows you that we really have a very young population. English is the most commonly used language for instruction, meaning education delivery, business, and law. The proficiency across the country is considered to be quite high. It's really embedded in the education system here in the Philippines. Although we wanted to caution you that this proficiency level varies across the regions in the country, you'll see that there's advanced proficiency in more urban or progressive cities, and we could give more information about that, and that information is initial information on that is provided in the next few slides. One of the thriving industries in the Philippines is the business process outsourcing. industry, which contributes about 37.8 billion US dollars to the Philippine economy. That's just last year, but that's the average, I would say, usually the figure that we see every year, which shows that the skills and the proficiency in English of Filipinos is very much valued by different countries around the world that have invested in this industry in the Philippines. So that makes English as a second language training a strong export service of the Philippines to fellow ASEAN countries. So many of the citizens in different countries in Southeast Asia or Asia Pacific invest in these training programs in the Philippines because we are known for that strength in the region. There is strong social media presence in the country. We are still one of the thriving social media hotspots around the world, not just in the region. And we have about 87 million users on social media as of last year. That's about three-fourths of our population. We do have a talented workforce, as I've mentioned, as of late last year we had 2.6 million overseas Filipino workers because skills is one of our top exports. And those are the just the number that were deployed last year. The Philippines, as a result, because we're seen as a source of workers by other countries or talent, uh, we have 53 bilateral labor agreements in the pipeline from 38 just in 2023. So that's how popular the Philippines is as a source of talent for other countries, including Canada. Next slide, please. So the Philippines, as we were covering before the pandemic, our GDP growth has always been consistently between 6 to 7%. And this has been seen again as a trend since we have recovered from the pandemic. So this year, again, the ADB has projected the economic growth to be at 6.2% in the Philippines. We are one of the fastest growing economies in Asia. And I'll give more information to what Canada is doing to build a deeper relationship with the Philippines on trade and other facets. But we do have a number of economic growth factors stated on this slide. There's moderating inflation, there's really strong fiscal measures that are being implemented by this administration and the past administrations that's helping temper inflation in the country. Well, the presence of overseas Filipinos do help on that regard because they send back money to family, making the Philippines cash rich because of these remittances, and that helps offset, costs of usual spending, day-to-day spending, and gives room for growth and it generates economic activity across the country. We do have sustained public spending on infrastructure projects. There's domestic demand because of that steady influx of remittances and drive to grow certain industries across the country. Thus, there's sustained economic growth across the Philippines. The Philippine government, under this presidential administration, has a 10-point agenda, one of which focuses on education, and that's Future Ready Filipinos, which aims to improve education through the improvement of the quality of education delivery, increasing access to learning resources, and promoting adult education or continuing education, which means upskilling and reskilling of talent, given that the Philippines is such a strong source of talent for other countries and the domestic labor market. Something that we have not seen in previous presidencies is the creation of the private sector advisory councils, and this applies to different sectors, including education, healthcare. The very first that I saw was agriculture, because the president was the minister of agriculture as well when he assumed office. Um, but this shows you that there is serious intent and commitment for the current presidential administration to bridge the gap between industry and academia, which has always been an issue in the Philippines. And we're starting to see this develop in recent months and in the past 2 years. I've mentioned a while ago that there are thriving and progressive cities and municipalities across the country. I've listed the leading cities and municipalities on the screen. This should help you, this should guide you rather, in strategizing where to focus your promotional efforts as you become active in the Philippines. Next slide, please. This slide here just shows you the breakdown of where Filipinos are. These are overseas Filipino workers, and we have over 10 million, going 11. I'm sure this year it will reach 11.5 million. But as you could see, there's a big contingency of this diaspora in the Americas, which includes Canada. Off the top of my head, the total remittances year on year of Filipinos in Canada amount to about 2 billion US dollars. And that is something that the president respects. And, and, and even if the Philippines has become a source market for other countries, the president understands that having them in other countries and having them contribute to the economic growth in the country through the sending of remittances helps keep the country afloat and generates, again, economic activity across the country. Next slide, please. So this slide here just shows you the usual professions that these overseas Filipino workers pursue when they leave for other countries. Mind you, we could coordinate with BCCIE to make this slide presentation available to you after this presentation. Next slide, please. Okay, so focusing on the Philippines and Canada now is an opportune time to be sharing information on this, because we just ended the Joint Economic Commission, a high-level bilateral dialogue between Canada and the Philippines late last week. So again, Canada is one of, well, sorry, the Philippines is one of Canada's top source of immigrants, workers, and international students. We do have a huge diaspora of Filipinos in Canada of over 1 million, which demonstrates that there are strong people-to-people ties between our countries. This is probably even further demonstrated by the presence of Jollibee across the country, and continued growth of other Philippine brands across Canada. The Philippines has direct flights from the Philippines to Canada via Philippine Airlines, which flies daily to Vancouver. And Toronto, I think, flies 4 times a week from Manila. And Air Canada recently launched their first flight to the Philippines, direct flight via Vancouver from Vancouver. And so we're hoping that that would soon expand to include Toronto as well. There's ongoing, this is the great news, the ongoing bilateral Canada, well, not bilateral, but there are ongoing FTA negotiations between Canada and the ASEAN region. And there is the exploratory discussions towards a bilateral FTA between Canada and the Philippines has been initiated last week as well. So we're hoping that this could happen in the next few years. And in that note, we'll see more relationships between Canada and the Philippines prosper, especially on agriculture and agri-food. The next point after the Joint Economic Commission are the top sectors of Canada here in the Philippines, meaning in the Trade Commissioner Service, where I'm a part of, these are the industries in Canada that we really advance business development priorities here in the Philippines. We do try to promote Canada as a partner in these sectors, and that includes agriculture and agri-food and education. And of course, I'm sure many of you have heard that we have launched the Indo-Pacific strategy in the past 2 years, I believe. And this has resulted to deeper ties between Canada and the region. And we're hoping to see more opportunities for Canadian experts in Canada, as the strategy indicates, to do more in the region, including the Philippines. Next slide, please. So just between Philippines and Canada on education collaboration, as of last month, last month, May 31st, we counted the number of partnerships that were signed between Canada and the Philippines. And this is an inventory that we maintain with the Commission on Higher Education. We have so far uh, facilitated over 210 partnerships, 211 just this week. And this includes partnerships between the Commission on Higher Education and 3 provinces in Canada, which includes British Columbia, 2 associations as well in Canada, including Universities Canada and Colleges Institutes Canada. But we're hoping to see more. And these partnerships, if we facilitate them, these are partnerships that should have outcomes. So we are strong advocates of signing documents with action plans attached to them. So in some cases, like the MOU we signed this week, even before signing the MOU, there are already outcomes from that partnership. So these are the partnerships that the Commission on Higher Education, the government agency that leads on higher education, would like to see. The everything grew when we facilitated the joint statement for education collaboration between SHED and the Commission on Higher Education and CBIE in 2014, which we worked on for over a year, and that's resulted to a number of projects which were launched in 2017, including a PhD scholarship program for Filipino students that are funded by the Philippines, were funded by the Philippines, internationalization training program to 15 internationalization officers across the Philippines that served as mentors to all the internationalization officers in the Philippines. And then the Community College Program, which was a program that helped promote Canada's community college model and encourage local universities and colleges in the Philippines to engage with Canadian institutions, mainly colleges, polytechnics and institutes, and the adult education training program, which shows you that even in 2017, there's a commitment from the Commission to deepen their knowledge on the delivery of adult education, which also has to do with deepening ties with industry in the Philippines. And we're starting to see those results with this current administration establishing the Private Sector Advisory Council and enhancing industry academia linkages. There are certain priority industries in the Philippines that we have worked on already, which help train certain sectors in the country in aviation or aerospace, creative industries, and defense, and we'll soon get into healthcare as well. We've started to see some of the outcomes from agreements that we have facilitated in that space. To date, since the Canada ASEAN scholarships for educational exchange and development was launched, we've seen 93 Filipino students apply for programs and pursue the SEED program at partner Canadian institutions of Philippine institutions that have pursued this program. What we've encouraged Philippine institutions to do, especially the ones that have joined our missions to conferences such as CBIE, BCIEW, is to establish consortia of groups of institutions in the country that could work together to contribute to capacity building for certain causes or advocacies in the Philippines. So we have a couple, and actually this has grown to four, but these are the ones that have already worked on projects. We have the Philippines Canada Network for Sustainability, a group of 71 Philippine universities and colleges, mostly are in the agriculture space or agricultural institutions that have worked together on projects to help Indigenous peoples in the Philippines and align their efforts with the UN SDGs. And then we have the one that we created during the pandemic, the Philippines Canada Education Consortium for International Collaborative Partnership, or we know them more as the Magic Seven. It's a group of over seven institutions now, including Canadian institutions that are working together to intensify Indigenous education and research across the country. And as of course, before things changed, we had a very good traction in terms of student mobility. As of now, our data indicates that we have still over 48,000 Filipino students. And as far as the university mobility of Asia and the Pacific is concerned, we do have now over 120 UMAP members. We've sent over 150 outbound students, and the Philippines, we have accommodated over 40 about 40 inbound students to the Philippines. Next slide, please. I hope you're still with me. Thank you. I hope everything so far is clear, but we'll have hopefully an opportunity to address questions later. This slide here gives you a quick snapshot of the basic education, the K to 12 level, which was just fully implemented as of 2018. Higher education, meaning this is the level that's overseen by the Commission on Higher Education and receives complementary support from the Department of Science and Technology, or ISED, in the Philippines, and TVET, Technical Education Skills Development Authority, is the government agency that oversees that sector. We've outlined how many students are enrolled in the basic and higher education levels. I just wanted to explain a bit more on the types of institutions. So in basic education, we have public and private. And you'll see in the next few slides that there is further indicators on who would be best partners for you as you partner with Philippine institutions. But on the higher education side, we have state universities and colleges, and as you can see, we only have 113 with 1.6 million students. Private institutions, and that's
Oh yeah, sorry. I think Angel just left. Yes, we lost Angel. Um, Let me text her. Maybe it's her connection. Sorry, everyone. Um, please just bear with us. I'm trying to message Angel, but she hasn't replied. Oh, she's back. Welcome back.
Okay.
Okay, okay. Now you're back.
Okay.
I'm gonna share my screen again.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Sorry, everybody. Internet issues. Okay, thank you, Kate. So the points that we've outlined on the screen would include updates or the strategies of the current administration, the leaders in each of the agencies or the sectors. So I just wanted to quickly mention that for the Department of Education, there's still a lot of work going on in terms of reforming the curriculum in the country and making it stronger, and in short, helping Philippine students at the K 12 level be more job ready when they graduate. So equipping them with the skills that the industry needs. This again ties to the theme of enhancing linkages with industry. And the Department of Science and Technology, or ISED, in the Philippines, is doing work with that space as well because STEM is a very important program for the president. And he wants to strengthen that delivery of STEM across the country. So, in the higher education level, which we see more of in terms of partnerships, um, we do have institutionalized laws uh, focused on internationalization and transnational education. And this is really the underlying theme, or everything that the Commission on Higher Education is doing is really focused on spearheading transnational education partnerships. And if you need more information on that, you can actually access the QR code to download all of the transnational education kit prepared by the Philippine government for institutions that wish to pursue that kind of partnership here in the Philippines. Of course, the goal at the higher education level is to improve employability of Philippines tertiary students and to support the needs of the industries. Jorge, it's in the next slide, the QR code. Apart from that, the last administration, you're welcome. The last administration actually implemented the universal access to quality education, which helps Philippine students that are marginalized to have access to higher education opportunities. There's been a lot of, as I've said, emphasis in adult education to upskill and reskill talent here. So the Commission has shared that to let you know that they do have programs to upskill and reskill faculty focused on certain specialized programs that would help them have the skills to train and improve education delivery at the tertiary level. Um, in addition to that, the Department of Science and Technology has programs related that could support scholarships to universities overseas for research opportunities and STEM scholarships as well. And then at the TVET level, there's new leadership here, and this is an agency that we really haven't seen that active. I would say that at this point, and it's credit to that their current leader that they're really doing a lot of work to be at par with the Commission on Higher Education in terms of engaging with foreign partners. So we hope to work with them in the coming months and years. Next slide, please. Hello. Oh, thank you. So I've added, in this presentation has a lot of QR codes. I would tell you that as early as now. But you'll have these slides too. And I've added a QR code for the Philippines qualification framework, if which would be helpful for you as you partner with Philippine schools for you to find out how they match your programs. But I would say that for private institutions that are autonomous and deregulated, their programs would be um, a more enhanced version, I should say, of the bar or the baseline curriculum that is implemented by the Commission on Higher Education. And then the internationalization initiatives of the Philippine government can also be accessed via that link and that QR code. I've also added the QR code for the recent memorandum that was released by the Commission on micro credentials, and I'm happy to share that the Technical Education Skills Development Authority has also just launched their own memorandum for micro-credentials. We're just waiting to receive the implementing rules and regulations to provide more guidance to institutions in Canada, but also the transnational higher education toolkit, which is something that would be helpful for you as you navigate opportunities here for partnership models such as joint programs, dual degree programs, branch campuses, offshore delivery of programs, licensing of curriculum, etc. Next slide, please. Next slide, I won't delve too much in. This is just a slide that shows you a snapshot of the curriculum at the K to 12 level and how it dovetails into the Philippines qualifications framework. But I would encourage you to access that QR code so that you could review that in greater detail. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to let us know. Next slide, please. So how important is Canada in the Philippines as a partner and as a destination as it relates to international education? Next slide, please. So just to give you a bit of a SWOT analysis, well, we enjoy a very good reputation in the Philippines, even if things have been rough recently. Uh, Canada is still seen as a great destination for many. We are still, data shows, the top choice for international education. Of course, there are countries, especially in Europe, that are trying to recruit from the Philippines, but there's a certain affinity, and I think this has to do with the number of Filipinos that are in Canada. There's a certain comfort, given that we're a family-oriented people, that there's a certain comfort to we gravitate towards Canada mainly because of that ties that we have there, we did in the US years back. I'm glad that this is an area of strength for Canada here in the Philippines because this is difficult to beat for some of our competitors. Of course, our education quality is very high. It's perceived to be very high here in the Philippines. And when they hear it's Canada, there's a certain level of respect that is seen whenever we are in meetings or when we engage with our partners here in the Philippines. We still, even if things have been, again, exciting in the past year or so, there are still pathways to immigration, and these may have changed into certain forms. But still, this is still an option for students in the Philippines. Remember that the Philippines is one of Canada's top sources of immigrants and workers, and it is necessary to for them to upskill or reskill. Thus, education is still an important component of their movement to Canada. So I would encourage you to really look at this space as an opportunity for you to pursue partnerships, even training uh, here in the Philippines. Cultural compatibility, we find that the values between Canada and the Philippines are very much aligned, or there are a lot of similarities. And so there, whenever Filipinos move to Canada, it's not as difficult, or it is difficult to a certain extent, especially for those that are alone moving to Canada. But it's less because they feel at home. That's apart from the point that Jollibee is also in Canada, but there's a certain level of comfort there, as I've said. There's also, even if there's been less than desirable social media posts that have come out in recent months. Generally speaking, family and friends in Canada still share that they feel safe for the most part across Canada, and there's still quality of life there. And then, of course, in terms of the downside, of course, there's policy changes, as it always happens in many sectors, and there's just a cycle that we have to deal with. But there's a cost of tuition and fund requirements that sometimes gets in the way, because especially if it's been an abrupt change. They would, of course, need more time to deal with the change and make sure that they're ready, which is good. Filipinos are they're uh, there's many ways. Filipinos are very resourceful. We would always find ways to make things happen. And it's good that we've given them time to react and find opportunities so that they can pursue their dream of studying in Canada. And then there's the visa processing. I'm very happy and lucky that we're very lucky here that our IRCC team is very, very collaborative and is very supportive. As a matter of fact, we have prepared a study permit guide that you can share with anybody that's applying for a study permit to go to Canada. And that's the QR code is in the next few slides as well. Next slide, please. I hope we're doing good on time. Okay, I have to rush.
Yes,
Sorry.
we're
Okay.
fine.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah,
Kate.
yeah.
Um, so, so in terms of the reasons why the Philippines is a key market for Canada in terms of international education, what are the opportunities? Again, you have access to a population of about 60 million. That's below the median age of 26. That's pretty much a big market. Of course, not everybody will be able to study or pursue mobility programs through partnerships, but it still is a big market. So that just needs you strategizing well and targeting the right demographics in the market, which we would be happy to help you navigate as you strategize. And feel free to run those plans by me when we see each other at BCIEW. Again, there's a higher proficiency level in English compared to some countries in the region. So bridging the gap in English proficiency is not much of an issue. We tend to see very good results for Filipinos taking TOEFL, IELTS, even CELPIP, and CALE. And then there's a strong interest in education in Canada still, given the fact that they know that we offer quality education and that there are still pathways to immigration. And then we, of course, contribute to the diversity of institutions across Canada. We settle well wherever we go. We're very adaptable people, and we then help set an environment of inclusive education in Canada. We do have skills as one of our top exports. So we have contributed to the Canadian labor environment market for years, even I would say more than a decade. Actually, since the 1950s, where we saw the first overseas Filipinos move to Canada, specifically to Manitoba, and that's saying a lot. If you're looking at addressing labor gaps across Canada, consider the Philippines as a market for you to focus on. And then, of course, there's strong support to make strategic partnerships that are mutually beneficial happen. And again, transnational education and internationalization have been institutionalized here in the Philippines. And so this could, because of that strong government support, this could give you access to possible scholarship programs, agreements, and projects, as some may have already seen and realized. Again, there's a significant diaspora of Filipinos across Canada. Family and friends that are living across Canada help Filipinos that move to Canada settle sooner than later, contributing to higher success rates for students coming from the Philippines. We are also strong in the programs that may lead to PGWP still. I know that this limits a bit opportunities to recruit, but I'm not saying that that is the only reason that Filipinos go. We're starting to see interest from the K to 12 level to study in Canada, and these are kids basically that come from families that run businesses here, and of course they need to come back. Traditionally, they've always gone to the US, to Europe, but because of some changes or shifts, we're starting to see that parents are, of course, considering Canada as a safer option for their children. And then, of course, even if our network of agents have shrunk since the time that changes in policy have been implemented, we still have a strong number of them. And we'd be happy to share with you that list. And this is a list that we have updated from March this year when we last did our events. And of course, a strong network of guidance counselors that are enthusiastic to promote Canada. Next slide, please. Thank you, Kate. And just on the student recruitment side, so I still have half a presentation to go through, so I'll glaze through these. So this is just, again, you'll have these slides. These are just some of the data on the study permits issued from the Philippines. Next slide, please. We're still fourth worldwide, next to China, India, Nigeria. Next slide, please. And then this is the competitive environment. We last updated this in March, but as you could see, Canada still holds the lion's share in the market in terms of students recruited. Next slide, please. Okay, so key considerations, again, for opportunities, strong English proficiency, which I've explained earlier, academic preparedness. We already have been graduating K-12 students since 2018, and there's strong familiarity with Western education. Many of our institutions use the IB program, AP program, or have really based their education or their curricula on the US curriculum or curricula. And then there's shared values with the Philippines. Again, as I've mentioned a while ago, there's a lot of similarity in terms of values between Canada and the Philippines. There's growing middle class in the Philippines. This is really, we're set to become, data shows that we're set to become an upper middle income country by 2026. And then there's increased interest in international education. There's this has been a hype in recent years. There's strong government support. They're very open to engaging with us in different types of partnerships. There's return on investment in Filipino talent. If you invest in recruiting from the Philippines for the professions that are very much needed in Canada, you'll have greater rates of success in seeing student success in your region or your community. And then again, we have a stable network of education agencies now. These are the ones I would say that are tried and tested. Given policy shifts, they still stuck it through with us. So please make friends with them and build relationships when you receive that list if you want to receive it. Challenges, of course, institutions tend to just focus on Manila, which is sad. There are emerging areas across the country that are lucrative. There's some areas that have less banks, so people just keep their money literally. So I think there's a need for you to look at the data in terms of which the cities or municipalities are progressive, are known for economic dynamism, and I think that there's a higher probability for you to succeed if you promote in areas in the country that have less competition. Credential recognition, of course, there's a need for you to benchmark when you recruit from the Philippines. Really understand the programs here, so you know that you are really recruiting students that are ready to take your programs, the ones that they're applying for. Parental influence and safety concerns. Parents are usually they have a big influence in decisions we make here, even if we're not as young anymore. They do influence us a lot. Which shows you it's really a family oriented population. And then there's retention and support. There's a need for you to establish or demonstrate that there is a strong support system when Filipino students choose to study at your school. It's I guess one of the responsibilities of institutions when they recruit is to make sure that you're setting up the student for success. There's also lack of awareness of visa application processes, so we would like to ask for your help to please disseminate the study permit guide that we're sharing with you through this presentation. The more that we share that information with everybody, the more that they understand that there is some level of hand holding that our IRCC team is extending to them, to help them through this process. And then, of course, financial constraints. So please choose your demographic when you're recruiting from the Philippines wisely, and we could guide you through that process, as I've said. Next slide, please. We're now in partnerships. So, in terms of opportunities, again, there's transnational education partnership opportunities. We're happy to say that we've started to see this in recent months. There's a number of partnerships that are being pursued in this space, and please I encourage you to consider this because the Philippines is trying to set up the Philippines as a hub for transnational education in the region. And it will be great in November when we go to the CBIE conference as well, because we'll be there alongside Malaysia, who is also strong in transnational education. So we will be working together to help our delegations do well in terms of pursuing transnational education opportunities. Student mobility and exchange programs, of course, are of interest. Faculty and research opportunities to start, and then curriculum development and capacity building. access to the in the ASEAN region. If you decide to partner in the Philippines, many of our institutions are already working with ASEAN institutions. So you could be as creative as you can be and use your partnership to target other ASEAN markets as well if you wish. And of course, if you are here on the ground and they see you, they hear of your partnership, it helps you establish your brand as well, in not just in the Philippines, but also in the region. Of course, there are government-funded initiatives that support industry academia partnerships geared towards workforce development, reskilling, and upskilling. There's an international continuing program, education program that people can apply for if they have a partner here in the Philippines and you want to apply for support. You can. There's that program as well, and then those are programs that are offered by the Commission on Higher Education, and that's apart from the Department of Science and Technology. And you'll see that in the next few slides too. There's cost-effective recruitment and delivery options that you could consider, such as hybrid education programs, blended learning delivery, offshore delivery programs too. In terms of challenges, of course, this is somewhat foreign market. There would be regulations that you need to abide by, and of course, bureaucracy. So you really need to understand that it will take a while. But just like relationship building in Asia, it may take a while, but once you get there, it's for the long haul. And then there's differences in academic standards, grading systems, and program structures that you have to consider. Meaning, you have to know your partner, you have to know their vision, you have to know their programs very well and understand how they compare to yours, so you know right away if it would work or not, and negotiate well. So that's a key. Once you have established your relationship, that's something key for you to do to to make the partnership mutually beneficial. Of course, there may be some institutional capacity gaps in some institutions across the country. We're still a developing country. There's still a lot of things that the Philippine government is trying to do to improve education delivery and research across the country, and this could be in the form of upgrading IT infrastructure, infrastructure itself, developing faculty, etc. Cultural and operational differences, even if there's a lot of shared values between our countries, there's still some differences. So please be sensitive to those. And please be patient as you build your relationship with Philippine institutions. Funding and resource constraints. So you have to be clear at the get-go, where is funding coming from? So please be clear as much as you can at the start, so you both know if you can make this partnership happen. And of course, set your partnership for success. Make sure that it has cushion for change of leadership, policy shifts, even funding cuts. So being as clear as possible at the start, even on your side, right? So being as clear as possible at the start to make sure that your partnership in itself is protected from these changes. And then, of course, there's a competitive environment here, a very aggressive group of other countries that try to pursue partnerships with Philippine schools, Australia, the US, UK, EU countries, and even Asian countries, especially Korea, Japan. We see a lot of them doing more here in the Philippines. Next slide, please.
Sorry,
And
Angela,
then,
just
oh,
sorry.
yes.
Sorry,
Yes,
we
sorry,
have
Kate.
about 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Yeah,
Okay,
just want
so
to remind.
I will skip the next slide.
Okay, okay.
Next
One
slide,
second.
please.
Yes, 1 second. Okay,
It's
we'll
a
just,
great thing we're sharing these slides. Next slide, please.
yes.
Key priorities for the Philippines. Next slide, please.
Okay.
I think these are very much self-explanatory. So the Department of Science and Technology, or ISED, in the Philippines, has a number of programs, and they're linked to this slide. And the points here, their priorities are based on the MOU that we have facilitated between DOST and Universities Canada. Next slide, please. I'm almost done, Kate.
Okay.
So, Technical Education Skills Development Authority, these are their current initiatives. I've added the Philippines Qualification Framework, the updated one for the TVET side. So that could be accessed via this QR link. And then the competency standards, there's a QR link linked to that as well. Next slide, please. In terms of recommendations, I've been speaking about recommendations for the last past hour or so, but just to say that please leverage your efforts on our events, work with us. We're always happy to guide you. You'll see the QR code to the study permit guide on the right side of the screen. And then the next few slides just give you information on the top social media channels that you could use, which regions across the country would be important for you to target. And then if you have any questions on any of these points, please do let me know. Next slide, please. And then next slide again, please. That just shows you where the overseas Filipino workers come from and go to. Next slide, please. Remember that they have presence in those countries, which mean that if you recruit from those areas, you can more often than not come across Filipinos as well. And these Filipinos that live overseas support family that would like to study overseas. Next slide, please. That's the social media metrics that I mentioned. For partnerships, I've basically spoke about all of it, but I just wanted to give a reminder that start small to sustain a long-term relationship. And I wanted to share that there is a Philippine company that's very well resourced that is looking for partners to bridge skills gap between Canadian and Philippine well, skills gaps of Filipinos to certain professions in Canada that are in need of talent. So if you're interested in that, we could discuss that as well at the conference. And then the next slide just shows you the different initiatives that we're planning to do this year. So if you need information on that, I'm at your disposal. Next slide, please. And then at the BCIEW conference, we're there with 19 delegates, 5 of which is from the Commission on Higher Education. And they're led by the deputy minister, one of the deputy ministers at the commission. And these are the institutions that are going. We will be in different sessions at the conference. So we have, excuse me, the government update. I'm sure you've heard that there's been a change of leadership at the commission. So the current commissioner will give information on what the new chairperson of the Commission on Higher Education what her priorities are. And then for the Philippines session, we invite you to attend this event to learn more about where we are in terms of T&E and internationalization. And if you scan the right side of the QR code on the right side, it would give you information on who the delegates are, and it asks you for specific partnership information as well. And we could discuss that further at the conference so that we could match you with our delegates and institutions that are not at the conference. And we'll be at these B2B sessions as well. I think the B2Bs on Wednesday is from 9 a.m. or 8:45 a.m. Next slide, please. And thank you so much. I hope that I was able to cover everything. I'm sure you have a plethora of questions. I'll be at your disposal. You can reach out to us as always or go through BCCIE. Happy to be of service to you. Thank you.